Knowing when to leave. How do you know when it's time to leave? There's many things that could happen that cause you to know that it's time to leave. So let's go over these things. But before we do that, I want you to check the link in my description if you want to go higher in using your voice. The mindset of getting unmuted. Click the link below for my ebook. The Sound of a Woman Unmuted is coming in print so very, very soon. So let's jump into this. Started out with the military. Into the military at 17. I was actually signed in by my parents. Now, I have nothing against the military. The Air Force specifically, I would not recommend any other service because the Air Force, I just love the Air Force. We love planes. We just love the Air Force. And they were the most well-funded and they treated their people the best, right? So I would say if you do go into the Air Force. But why did I get out? Because the epitome of success in the military is getting to 20 years and getting the military retirement for the rest of your life. So why did I get out early? Why did I leave the 9 to 5? And I cannot say that military is the typical 9 to 5. The typical 9 to 5, you won't go to jail if you don't go to work for a few days. You'll get fired and you could just go on with your life. No. This is one of the things problems I had with the military as a 9 to 5. Military is not a regular 9 to 5. You will go to jail for being absent without leave if you don't do your job. Dereliction of duty, you will get punished. You could actually go to jail for making mistakes. So, or get kicked out and have a mark on your record for life. So, why did I get out of the military early? I knew it was time because I am a mother. If you are a mother, I'm talking specifically to women right now, and men. How do you know? When you know that it's not your passion, when Sunday night comes and you're dreading, this is for all 9 to 5s, not just military, and you're dreading going into work the next day. That's how you know that it's time to leave. That's one of the ways you know it's time to leave. Me, I knew it was time to leave when I was watching Italian mothers. I was in Italy and I loved the military for that. It gave me the ability to travel. I saw the world, but guess what? I was seeing how other cultures treat their workers, how other cultures treat their time and their life. They had siestas over there that you could sit down, you could take a break in the afternoon. It wasn't a hustle culture like we have here in America. So the Italian mothers would be getting 3 months off vacation or more. I'm not sure how much they get off, but they were strolling around with their babies in strollers, walking in the park, just a leisurely stroll. And I am 3 months out from my giving birth to my beautiful baby girl, Jayla, JAA, my second daughter. And I had to go back to work and I had to leave my baby with a babysitter. How horrible is that? You need at least 6 months to a year or more to spend time bonding with that child. So guess what? When I found out I was pregnant again, about 5 years later, 3 years after Jella was born, I was pregnant with my third child. You can get out of the military if you're pregnant. I took advantage of it because I had just read a book by my cousin. My cousin, Jenny Lee Staten, had written a book, Mama Come Home. And I was so convicted by that book that I needed to take care of my children. Why did I have these children if I wasn't going to take care of them? So I got out. I gave up my military retirement. I was 8 years away from retirement, but also me and my husband both were in the military. So I was getting deployed. I think my final deployment was to Saudi Arabia. I went to a war zone, you guys, pregnant. I did not know I was pregnant. They had to send me back. Right? So the whole point of the matter is my husband was a cop. He was doing shift work and getting deployed also because it was doing like the Gulf War era or whatever era. It was during the Gulf War era, and people were getting deployed to these different locations. And so I knew at that time it was time. So when your job starts sending you, I don't know who I'm talking to, but when your job starts sending you away from your family for extended periods of time and you are not comfortable with that, it's time to develop a plan. I want you to develop a plan. Start planning your exit. When you start feeling these crying Some of you have found yourself crying out to God and saying, I know that I could do better than this, or I know that this is not the life that I want, but I have to do it. You don't have to do it. And if I could talk to my younger self, I would say, Terri, you don't have to do this. And I listened. Apparently, I did talk to my younger self, because I listened and I got out of that rat race of the military, which, like I said, is a different 9-to-5 scenario, because they basically own you. You cannot get out other than a serious medical condition. You cannot get out of the military if you want to, and you cannot just take a day off. You could take leave, but a lot of times they want you to forecast that leave. You can just all of a sudden say, I want to take a day of leave, unless you had a cool supervisor, which I was always blessed. Thankfully, I can't complain to the utmost about being abused or whatever, mistreated, because I was protected by God. Every supervisor I've ever had has really been really good to me. I don't think I've had any horrible bosses, except for, she wasn't even my boss. I talk about it a lot on this channel, about the master sergeant who was in the military at the time, at my first duty assignment in Plattsburgh, New York, who tried to get me kicked out. I didn't even work for her. She was outside. She didn't even know me. She just targeted me as a young, beautiful airman and wanted to destroy me. Unfortunate, but that's how life is. Sometimes people just target you because you're pretty, or you're joyful, or you laugh too much, you smile too much. They want to destroy you. So this is part of the 9-to-5, why you possibly should leave, because I don't ever want to tell anybody to leave prematurely, but I left when all of my debts were paid, all my bills were paid when I left, and I had $10,000 saved in a mutual fund, so, which helped us, and we lived off one income. We were able to live off one income, and my husband was able to support our family, and I was able to take care of my children. So mothers, especially, if you're crying, I was crying. God heard my cry, and he made it. My husband was in agreement. Some husbands are not in agreement with their wife staying at home with the children. But guess what? It didn't make sense to me. Half of my paycheck was going to childcare. I had 3 at that time. I would have had 3 daughters. I had 2 by the time I got out. Half of my paycheck was already going to childcare for me to go do something. Yeah, I had fun, in the military. I worked for the special investigations. I had a special duty assignment, but it wasn't my passion. It was still a job. There was some good times in there. Some interesting things happened. Being part of the investigators, that was pretty cool. But guess what? At the end of the day, it still wasn't my passion. When opportunity came for me to get out, I got out. So you'll know it's time to get out when you are crying, when you are miserable, when you are feeling like even if it's good, you got golden handcuffs on, like this, and thinking that this is the only thing that you could do. Like when I decided to get out, everybody I told were like, they act like it was the end of the world. Like I said, like it was a zombie apocalypse out there in the real world, which we call the real world. And that you can possibly make it out there, right? No, people, you so got kicked out or something. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it, even if they had this honorable discharge. They're still gonna make it. You still can make it. Every obstacle, no matter what. I want to encourage you. No matter what obstacle you're facing, they fired you, whatever. You can still make it. You will still make it. I'm prophesying that. I had one of our chairmen she was one of the first female chairmen at the agency where I worked at for so many years. She got fired. Before she got to the agency, that elevated position, she had to go through being fired, being talked about, being backbitten. I was friends with her personal assistant, and she told me how women, remember I said they targeted me, that master sergeant targeted me. She was targeted by women and treated horribly. She was talked about. She was backbitten. She was disrespected as a leader. But guess what? She got elevated. Nah, right? That's how we do it on the playground when we were kids. But I just want you to come out of it. If it's your time, start planning. Don't take that time, take all of that passion, all of that anger, all of that frustration that's happening, on that 9-to-5 job. And I want you to tunnel that into saving money. I had my mutual fund, and I was paying off debts. Take advantage of side hustles, whatever you could do, even Instacart. You could be putting that little bit of money aside. This is how important that component is. I had a coworker who told me she escaped an abusive marriage. She escaped the abusive marriage. He had control of the money. I've been blessed, like I said, through my whole life. The Lord has been blessing me and sheltering me and keeping me from bullies, because my husband, when I was at home, I handled the money. My husband never gave me a check. I knew women in the military who their husbands gave them a blank or either filled in check, one check to go grocery shopping with, and that was it. They didn't have access to the money. I had access to the money when I was working, and I paid all the bills, and his money was my money. But guess what a man he is, what a provider he is, and how he grew up. When I stopped working, and even when I got another job, a lucrative job, I'm not saying I was bringing home 6 figures. No, it was 6 figures with benefits. But bringing home 6 figures and having 6 figures with benefits is a whole different story, right? I could manage my money better. But my husband never wanted my money. No matter how much money I made on the side, to him, he was the provider. So it matters who you connect with, women. It matters who you connect with. I know it's cute right now that he needs to borrow your car, or he needs to borrow XYZ amount of money. It's not going to be cute when you're married and you have a baby by him and he wants you to get out there and work and you just gave birth. Because you have to do your part and you have to do it. No, I just did my part. I just birthed the whole baby. I just birthed a whole human being. No, you need to be that provider. But if you didn't negotiate that, or you didn't negotiate that in the beginning of the relationship, how can you expect that? But things can always change. Things can always be renegotiated. I had the support of my husband, and that matters. I'm not saying my husband is perfect. We've been close to divorce several times, but in this area, one of the areas that really matters to me, I never wanted to struggle in that way. And I'm willing to put up with certain things. What are you willing to tolerate? And those things are getting better. Those things are improving, right? But one area I'm not willing to tolerate is being poor, living in poverty. No, we need to work together to build a better life for ourselves and for our families. So I hope this blessed you today. I'm going to continue to talk in this vein along these lines, because I'm finding what I'm passionate about. I am passionate about helping people find out who they are, their purpose, especially who they are in Christ. That's the foundation, and how to move through the world using those gifts to edify yourself. Put your seatbelt on, put your mask on first, and then you can help others. How about that? So check the link in my bio, it's in my channel bio, and it's also in the description for this video. Buy the ebook. We're going to go through that ebook together. The Sound of a Woman Unmuted. You need to unmute yourself in every area, job-wise, financial-wise, voice-wise. Speaking up for yourself, championing yourself. That calls for vocalization. No longer on mute. Your voice deserves to be heard, right? So I want to thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to the journey.